Hi, I'm Steve Bartos, and I'm running as a candidate on a Democratic ticket for the 107th District for the State House of Representatives. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about myself and also my plans for the region. First off, a little bit about myself. I grew up in Atlas in a little row home along Columbia Avenue in Mount Carmel Township. Growing up in Atlas as a young lad here in the coal regions, you might say I have some coal dust in my soul. I grew up on the coal banks in the back streets and down at the West End playground, playing hard and fiercely every day and enjoying myself, but at the same time learning some great family values as I grew up. Those values were instilled into me by my father and my mother. They sent me first to elementary school at Holy Spirit. I spent 8 years receiving a Catholic education. Then, at the time to move on, my father and mother gave me a choice, and I chose Mount Carmel Area High School as a place I wanted to enter into upper level high school education. I graduated from Mount Carmel area in 1980. I went on from Mount Carmel to Kutztown University to receive an undergraduate degree and Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Planning and Biology, and then I also attended Texas A&M for my master's work. The values that I learned in growing up in the coal regions are a direct reflection of my father and mother's inspiration. My dad was a Depression kid. He was born in 1919. He grew up with 8 other children in his family. There were 7 brothers and 2 sisters, a total of 9. He was one of the oldest, and when the Great Depression came along, he was old enough to enter work. He left school at the 8th grade and started on a milk truck. Then he went on to the CC camps that President Roosevelt had set up, going all around the country. He first started out in Texas to learn to become a camp cook, moving on to New Mexico and Washington State. From there, he wrote the induction board and asked to be drafted into the Army. This is before World War II had started and before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He felt that very strongly that to be an American meant that you also had to serve your country. And serve his country he did valiantly. He left for World War II in 1941 and did not return home until 1945. He was one of the first troops on the ground with the 145th Infantry, marching across North Africa, Sicily, into Italy, up through the Anzio, southern France, and then on to Germany. He served with valor, earning a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart with 5 clusters. He was lucky enough to return home to us and have his family, raising 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. He made sure all of us had a proper education and that we had everything we always needed. We never had much growing up, but we always had what we needed, and we were always willing to share with other folks in the area. Dad's values were instilled in me at a very young age. And very much like his life, my life parallels them. Not that I've been at war, nor did I go off during the Great Depression. But Dad was unshy and never apologized for leaving the area for a short time to go out and earn a living for the rest of his family and his loved ones. Even when I was growing up, he had to work away at times. But his family lived and were raised here. Well, I did the same. My father and mother gave me an opportunity to go on to school. I spent 4 years at undergraduate university, and then I obtained a job at the Department of Environmental Resources in Harrisburg, PA. I worked there for 4 years. I went on to Texas A&M and then on to the Department of Energy. I spent a decade in Washington, D.C. working on a number of energy-related projects with DOE and NASA. I had opportunities to travel overseas, just as my father had, although my travel was much more easier and it was diplomatic travel. But I got to see the world, as he did. I saw Europe, I saw Russia. Just like my father, I came back to the area and I wanted to give something back. I had to learn the skills that I felt I needed to transform this region into a special place for future generations.